All right, everybody. Well, welcome back to the SAP Day 8. This is the start of the PM session, and this is, in fact, the last scheduled session that we'll be together online and hearing from presenters. This afternoon, we're kind of taking a deviation away from STEM and skill building and the type of science that we do at KSU, and we're going to take a look a little bit broadly at some adjacent parts of the world, some other things that you need to be aware of as you kind of start plotting your future out for what you're going to do, when you get your degree and start moving out into the workforce. So our presenters can do a good job of introducing themselves beyond what I've shared with you already in the schedule. And I just want to start by saying thank you both very much for being here today. And in any order that you like, feel free to get us started.
All right, Jeremy, thanks a lot. Appreciate this opportunity. My name's Andrew Allen. I just want to say thank you, Kentucky State, for giving me this opportunity and being able to present to the pretty much the leaders of tomorrow. So the first thing that I was listening to the first session, and when I was listening, I was having flashbacks to just my own experiences in college. So coming out of high school, I was running track and didn't really know what I wanted to do. Found it was an education, but I was like, hey, track is first, so let's run with track. So as I was running track, I was able to make friends and make connections. And then I started getting into the field of study I wanted to get into. But the main thing was being able to see who I was as a person. I was developing as an athlete. And then as developing as an athlete, I was like, well, I'm a college athlete. I'm a college student. I'm building my life. What are some things that I need to do to become successful? Yes, I wanted to study. I'm in the STEM program, but what else is there in life is just study and that's it. So then I started thinking, well, the speaker beforehand, Mr. Wilcox, sort of tied everything in with the water cycle. I mean, the water cycle and your life cycles at college at Kentucky State University pretty much go hand in hand if you think about it. Whether you're coming from different areas, you're trying something new, and then you're just going on faith. Yes, there's a lot of fear with that, but the main thing is that you're able to use the resources provided, especially being in this STEM program, you have all these contacts. You have people in industry, out in industry, and inside the community on campus that can help you. So when I went to school, it's a little different. I'm not that old, but just being able to resource people or reach out to people. Now everything is on the cell phone. Being able to reach people on the cell phone, sending an email, setting up time, that is your perfect weapon as a student trying to navigate in this first year in school. So going back to my introductions, I graduated Rochester High School. I wanted to study architecture. I was a great draftsman. I loved buildings and everything. But then as I got to college, I was like, whoa, these math requirements sort of got me. So I sort of switched a little bit. I went to the criminal justice field. And then as matriculating through college and everything, started working at an at-home youth organization. Then working there, I found out that I needed to sort of build my skill set. So then I sought to go to my master's in community development. What kept me close to the architecture field because you're still building community and what goes on in that community as far as the physical and mental. So that was pretty important to me. I started working for the city of Holly and the management capacity. And one of the things that Mr. Wilcox, I'll just tie in once again, that watershed and water management, life science, all that is a thing of the future because water is a scarce resource. So as freshmen going in here, do not disregard water treatment. I'll just stress that right now. I mean, just look at across the nation what's happening. Bottled water is a commodity now. So, being able to make clean water is very important. So going forward, I got another degree in general administration. The general administration was for my teaching capacity at ITT Tech, where I was indirectly the criminal justice chair. So just navigating through different areas, using my skill set, I always go back to, okay, well, why am I keep going? What was this drive? Well, it sort of goes back to your environment. Now, if you don't have a good, stable environment, well, there's two things you can do. You can not flourish or get the tools necessary that you can flourish, i.e. the resources at Kentucky State University. Self-education is very important too, because as you're matriculating through college, yes, your first year is going to be a couple core classes, or you may not even get your core classes, but you have to sort of understand that, okay, if I want to be an engineer, well, what can I do right now that gets me close to that job? Use the resources on campus or go outside of campus to try to get in that field. So you always have this sort of self-knowledge, you're learning about the field you're getting into. And then whether you're halfway through or not, you can know if you need to tweak it or change things or just keep going on the same path. A lot of it is learning by play. Now, when I say learning by play is you're on campus. Yes, the college requirements are very rigorous, but you still have to have fun. Meet your professors, meet your other upperclassmen, join other organizations. You'll build your knowledge. Being able to build your knowledge, being the self-starter is very important. I have two sons, Drew and Logan. I have an 18 and 21-year-old. So I'm talking straight to you guys. I mean, I'm talking to the sons about this, goal setting, being able to sort of figure out what you want to do in life, because of course things are going to change. I mean, everything is just so, we're in a very fast-paced world, everything is changing. So being goal orientated. So what are our goals? I always tell my kids, you always have a short and long-term goal. And then as you're meeting your short-term goals, you may have to change your goals to that long-term goal, whether it's indirectly and then getting back to your main goal, or just totally change your goal from the get-go. But the main thing, they need to be SMART goals. So I'm sure you can Google all this stuff, but short, measurable, attainable, and time sensitive. That's how you track your goals and make sure you're on track. Tracking your goals equal your motivation. Your motivation stems off that fear of, oh, am I doing the right thing or not? Because as you're meeting your goals, hopefully you're using other techniques as far as meeting people, doing publications or reading articles, things like that, and going back to that self-knowledge. One of the other big things that got me going through college and everything was time management. So time management, what is your daily schedule? So in your head, you should already know what your daily schedule is. So as you go throughout, your day, what are your needs and wants? So your personal work schedule, free time, school, study time, personal time. And I broke personal time down into physical and mental, because you need to have some quiet time. With all the distractions with the phone and everything, social media, you have to pull back, go outside, take your shoes off, let your feet feel some grass, get connected to the earth, then go back and hit that schedule or the grind, as everyone says it nowadays. So those are some things that I think are pretty important, and whether you're a freshman thinking about getting to Kentucky State University, or just still pondering what you want to do, you have to have some sort of schedule in life, and that's just the way it is. Setting a course. What is your life strategy? The first week of college, I just remember everybody was sort of hanging out, sort of meeting people right before school started, then coming back, and it's like, okay, wow, this is school. So that's going to be the first juggle right there. Being whether you're away from home, staying on campus, commuting, there's a lot of different needs, there are a lot of different situations, but the main thing is you're the main focus. No one's going to tell you to do anything. You're going to tell yourself to do it. So how to get your self-motivation going? One of the things is, it always goes back to picking your social groups, whether it's online or in person. Make sure there are people that are in tune to your goals, like-minded people, sort of get some ideas and be able to keep your progress going forward. The community outside of school. The school is a community, but maybe you work outside of the school. Ask people. Do not be afraid to ask. What's the worst they're going to do? To say no. Get used to saying no or saying yes. I want to hear your conversation. Because eventually you're building your identity as a college student, as a person, and whether you want to have children or not, a community leader, a family member, a father, someone that maybe even a mentor, because you never know who's looking up to you. So what do you want to do? Try something. When I was on campus, I would just go to practice, study, and then go back to sleep. So in between that time, later on in my like junior, senior year, I just started, hey, I'm just gonna go sit at the play, sit at a drama, and just see how other things operate and how I can tie it into myself, whether it's my track for my career or my track for just personal development. That's one of the things you learn at school, is that you should immerse yourself into everything just to see how you like. It's the best place to get rejected, because you sort of can control a little bit, but no one's going to chew you up and spit you out because you have resources on campus. So do not disregard the resources on campus. They're very powerful, and I wish I would have used more of them to myself. Now, in saying all this, you're going to go through some rough times. So chance favors are prepared. I was a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout, didn't make it to Boy Scouts, but you're going to go through rough times. Life happens. Whether it's personal or your friends, you're going to have death come in your family, divorce, birth, opportunities, other things. Life is about how you manage those things. What are you going to do? And I always, like I've been saying before, use the resources that you have. If you don't have resources, seek them out. You have to make yourself self-motivated to become successful. So all this leads to, in the first presentations, we heard all the technical, the hard skills things, engineer, bin things, environmental, the watershed, things like that. So they're all soft skills in the 21st century as well. The soft skills that I think are very important. There's going to be other ones, you can look them up, but within my experience at HR at the UPS, language communication, teamwork, text, phone, and email etiquette. So that's a pretty important one, because if you send something in all caps, someone's mad or they're shouting at you. So you're like, oh, what's happening? So be cognizant of what you're doing. Problem solving and social media, being able to work as most jobs have a sales component. I'm finding at that now where I am right currently in my work situation. The social media is pretty much you putting your business organization or yourself out there and selling it to your community, consumers, or whoever else, because it's your advertisement. So being able to be proper or have social media etiquette is important too. Problem solving, anytime you can solve a problem, you're an asset. So being an asset to your company or solving environmental challenge, whether it's small or large, that has wheels that's going to get traction. The hard skills, like I said, that we already talked about the hard skills of math in the STEM program, being able to articulate the math, articulate that in writing, the problem solving, the step problem solving methods are very important because you can relate that to your soft skills and hard skills. It's a little hot here. We just had a storm come through, so if you see me sweating, it's outside the nerves, but it's very hot there. So why are these hard, soft and hard skills important in this 21st century environment? To be productive in society, you have to take that social buy-in. That social buy-in is being a good, courteous person with the knowledge that you have, transferring that knowledge to someone else, and hopefully teaching someone along the way. Thanks for spending time with me today. If you have any questions, my colleague Kiambo White will give you our contact information. Before I leave, are there any questions, comments, concerns? All right, like I said, thanks very much for being here, and I'll turn it over to Mr. White.
Yes, sir. We got you on mute, Mr. White.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, I want to thank everyone speaking with me today. I am a huge quote and little sayings person, so I'm going to start with one of my favorites. It's when you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, and I like to throw in to be loved. That's by Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, circa March 6. Well, anyway, he's a Roman emperor March 1661 through March of 180 AD. My name is Kiambo White, and I am the executive director with Lao Social Initiative. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit, with the main focus is job placement for the unemployed. I would like to thank KSU today for the honor and privilege of speaking with you today. And a little special shout out to Brother Jeremy, who made me aware of this program and what you guys are doing this summer. And I can't forget Mr. Allen for taking time to help out with us today. He's our HR director, and his wealth of knowledge. Some of you out there, I've known Andrew since I was 1 year old. So we know each other, are lifelong friends and brothers. So definitely appreciate that. And also our other folks who have joined us here today as well. Yeah, so as I said, I'm a huge fan of quotes and those little sayings. And for me, what that quote represents is that no matter what happens, when you wake up in the morning, it's a good day. That's when people ask me, who knows me, that's what I always say. It's a good day. Now, it doesn't mean I won't have personal issues, won't mean it won't be bad weather, won't mean I won't have car trouble, but I still woke up today and have opportunity. And that is what that means to me. And I've been really blessed that people have pointed things out to me in my life that have gave me insight and point me. Sometimes you have to call me out on things, but other times gave me some ideas to run with. And that's why I really enjoy that quote. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan area, the D as we call it. And I feel so blessed to be from there. I grew up with folks from numerous, very diverse communities, racially wise, financially wise, religious wise. And that is something I've really been blessed with, because that's allowed me to basically travel, work across the country, but also travel to all 45 states, 45 of our 50 states and territories. And that's something I think is important for you as well, to remember that the world is, again, it's not as big as I could think it is sometime, but it's not so small you can't get out there. And that's why you're here today, to start your lives off and your careers, to put you in the right path to where you want to go. My career path, I know Andrew mentioned earlier as well, his career, he had a couple of different career paths. Like I know when we were younger, I used to want to be an architect, I wanted to be a chef, then I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a therapist. And didn't do those, but over my majority of my adult life, I've worked in politics, well, for a few political parties. I've worked in the business realm for sales, worked in hospitality, and I've been a union rep really the last 12 years. With a few different unions. I worked with the building trades, and then obviously not for profits. But from those steps, I met so many different people, some friends, some foes, some family, some strangers, and some brothers and sisters. Even along the way, I was lucky enough to find best friend and some people you fall in love with. Even if things don't always pan out, this journey of life takes you to so many different steps. And even though something, definitely not saying there haven't been there's ups and downs, but I appreciate those opportunities and blessings so much, because that allowed me to bring you and speak with you today. And in the same way, as I briefly mentioned as well, it gives you a certain belief in yourself that you sometimes don't have when someone is propping up to support you. And that's especially what's going on today with the summer program that you're participating in. I'm sorry. So, and again, but I'm not going to, again, I said, I'm not going to make it light. I definitely had my ups and downs. I've had times where I didn't have any money, didn't have transportation, had to sleep on friends' couch. So it's definitely, no one's saying this is going to be an easy situation and there won't be hiccups, but I truly do believe if the path you're on, especially in the STEM programs, that these are career paths that can lead you from the time you're 18 to the time you're retiring. If everyone's lucky here, in your 60s, maybe even older, but this can something really can benefit you. So it's also another quote I like to say, it's a pain, a discipline, or pain and regret. And what that means is you can always get through it. Now, would you rather have your energy out there of like, you know what, I had to get up early, I was doing stuff with my family. I mean, let's say you went out and had fun with your friends, but you had the discipline of getting up to make sure you made it to class on time. Or before going out, you made sure you did all of your, whether your assignments, whatever course studies you could do. So basically, or it's a pain you can have a regret of knowing like, gee, I didn't have the right, I didn't put forth the right energy for that test. I could have done better, or I should have, you know, oh, I wanted a scholarship, but I fell short by this much. So it's a pain of discipline or a pain of regret. That is something, another quote I really like to live by, is something I truly believe in as well, because there's always a cost. Now, with this SAP program, with the SAP program to participate in, I think it's a very awesome and unique experience and opportunity you're going to gain. And regardless of the interest you have in STEM, agricultural, maybe you'll change your mind down the road to something else. This will provide you with the great tools and resources to be successful as you go on. Something as I mentioned, I've had a few different jobs, and I've always been someone who maybe a little gift of gab. When I get excited, I definitely can ramble on, and because I have passion for what I do and I have passion for people. Doesn't mean you're gonna always go, play golf with someone or you're gonna go on a date. But the thing is, knowing that when you get up in the morning, you got something you enjoy doing is such a blessing. And whether it's sciences you're getting into, engineering, the tech sector, math, a lot of those careers translate to so much, whether it's public, so for example, public sector employment are generally jobs that are run by local, state, or federal government agencies, Department of Education, Department of Defense, Veteran Services, the IRS, Human Services. So where the public sector obviously is, if you get a job, Andrew mentioned was something so important for maybe a local water treatment business, or where you go to find out what are parameters and what is safe and what isn't. There are also jobs where, again, for example, in the building trades, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, it's so many different trades, but from carpenters to laborers to engineers, which are called OE3s in the building trades, to plumbers, to pipe fitters, to electricians, for example. All those things, one, not only do they pay you a great living wage as you're going through life, but it's something that you can also embrace to really lead yourself to other areas. And maybe working for a school like Kentucky State, or working for a local municipality. There are also other union jobs where you have some maintenance workers, or even say service workers who maybe do water treatments within school districts, as well as if you want to be self-employed. You know what? I love the work that I do, but I have an idea of engineering, or I have an idea about how to do engineering differently this way in 2025. Well, I can start that on my own. And the thing is, but all those careers can kind of translate to other avenues or to other areas you may not normally expect. So again, it just finds out, what exactly is motivating you and what direction you want to go in. And again, at this moment in time, the direction you're going in is still up to you. You may change your mind. You may be starting out in engineering. You may decide to, you know what, I feel I'm having more of a knack for, I'm feeling this math. I'm feeling something's really clicking me to where I want to kind of become more of, maybe you want to become a chemistry, whatever those things are. And also don't hold yourself to where you start out here, you can't change. The main thing is staying focused and knowing that no matter what you're doing for the betterment of yourself and your communities at large. So that is something that, again, these are different areas of programs that will cross-pollinate, let's say, and it would give you a great opportunity for a really good future if you depend upon what you decide to do. So I'm moving on to something I like to call it: get educated, get blessed, or get prepared. Now, education can be different for everyone. What you're doing there, some of you will get your bachelor's, you work onto your master's, maybe get your postdoc. Great. Those things are so important, but also there also aren't necessarily cookie cutter boxes we all fall into, along the way in life. But maybe you decide, I got my master's, but I want to utilize that over in this area. And that's okay. But the main thing, as I briefly touched on, is to make sure you're using your time wisely and you're preparing yourself for opportunities. Today we're at a higher education institution. And like I said, I believe in that, but it's also very important. Just always remember, one box doesn't fit everybody. And you have to find out what really matters to you the most and follow through with that. And it's also important, regardless of what you do there, please remember that every day you can learn something. You can learn something every day. It can be right, wrong, good, or bad, but each day you can learn something new and different. But the main component of that is, do you embrace it? Do you welcome it? Even if maybe it makes you feel a little uneasy or something you may not be totally comfortable with, can you do that? And also when that opportunity or that blessing, depending upon your views, comes to you, are you prepared for it? And how do you do that? Again, these are some simple things that whether it's school, employment, or even your adult lives and relationships, other relationships, or other relationships, whether it's friends or family, how have I prepared myself? Now, but with this area, do you have is your resume up to date? Do you have a do you have a cover letter? Do you have your references? These are things that if I approach you saying, hey, we have this opportunity, but I need you to get this over to us, do you have these things readily available? And that's a lot of times, I know when I was younger, sometimes I would have things, but I would forget to add something or not have it on me. But then I learned, I always email it to myself, have it saved. I make sure that I have a hard copy of it. So, I mean, right now it seems like those things, aren't as important, but they really are down the road. And when that opportunity comes again, make sure you're checking your emails. Because so many people I know, I mean, these are adults too with jobs and careers who just, oh, email gets me busy. Kind of again, I'm gonna say always blow it off. You get distracted by it, or you have two emails, one personal, one's professional. Maybe you forgave someone the other. You forget to check your emails or your voicemails. It's another thing that I think a lot of people have for whatever reasons, I totally don't understand, kind of shy away from checking their voicemails, right? But those are things that may be an opportunity on the other end of that phone, which has been waiting for you and you've been waiting for, but you forgot to check it for whatever reason. Again, something that's also very important. No one's making light, again, as I said earlier, something that's important to me. I come from a single mom. And I know, and I have some single women in my life who bust their butt, great moms, but just trying to make ends meet. And sometimes you just don't have that extra money that maybe have the best outfits. But what I've noticed in the last few years, even with adults, is having some basic, again, can bear a basic pair of slacks, shirt, cheap tie. It doesn't have to be anything that's extravagant, and a pair of shoes, because you don't want to go into an interview. Because let's say, again, right now with the current climate, you are unfortunately right now competing with some adults who either been transitioning their careers or may have been laid off. And you want to go in and show yourself different. Again, there's definitely nice designer jeans and jeans that are really clean and kind of spiced up, but you want to separate yourself. So make sure you have a basic interview attire. Again, doesn't have to be expensive. There's nothing wrong with TJ Maxx or just, again, you have a clean pair of pants and a shirt or a nice dress or a nice skirt, that comes into place so much. And I've just seen so many people who have kind of shied away from that, not just children, but adults. Yes, there's different casual attire you can play off, and some folks are cool with wearing jeans with a nice suit jacket, but make sure you have a little something there because that will separate you from other folks. And lastly, and also for me, make sure you're taking care of yourself. And by taking care of yourself, again, we all have those issues, whether it's relationship wise, your brother or sister gets on your nerves, your day just gets started off wrong. But try to the best you can be mentally together and make sure you're explaining your messaging. Like for me, as I mentioned earlier, I get jazzed up when I get my point across, and sometimes I get going and then I'm thinking in my head, I'm talking slow enough, and then I may have a good point, but someone can possibly lose me because I'm so excited. But try to make sure you're focusing, taking care of yourself mentally and physically wise, but also make sure you get rest. I know as we're younger, we did it. Andrew can tell you, where you're like, oh, I'm good. I got 3 hours of sleep. I'm great. And, sometimes you can do that. But as you get older, things start to change a little bit. But regardless, even if you're doing that now, make sure you're preparing yourself to make sure you have that rest. So if you do have, all of a sudden, shoot, I can get my grade from an A- to A+ if I get this term paper in it, or get this extra credit assignment in that was just presented to us. So, but do I want to try to really get a good quality grade because I can't focus? I've been out all night or not taking care of myself. So that is something I think separates you. So when that door knocks or that phone rings and you bump into that person who can possibly help you or even give you some tools and resources or a connection, are you ready for that? I'm almost wrapping up, but before I forget, I should have said this at the start. Please have a pen and paper handy, because when I'm done here shortly, I'm going to give you a couple little information about us and some things that we're doing, which we hopefully can work with you on or can contribute to it as well. So lastly, again, Andrew roughly touched base on this about time management. And again, time management, it's not as complex as we like to think it is, and it's something that's great with, your employment, your education, and your everyday life. Again, we have deadlines, due days for things. So know when your deadline is, know when this assignment is due, or know, hey, I heard about this, this new job is coming up, but it has to be posted by, or I have to have my resume in by July 7th. Don't wait to the last minute. So know when things are due. Know the deadline. So again, if it's a paper or an assignment, it may take you 2 or 3 months, but you know what? The days where you're at home, where again, it was raining outside or bad weather, it's too hot, you know, have your plans get changed. Try to just do a couple things briefly. Look, find some different links or find some information that will save you time later on. So when you do get busy, you're prepared there. Again, and come up with a plan to accomplish that task. Again, whether it's a job or employment, hey, you know what? I'm going to need this amount of research. I need to do this amount of development for the assignment. So it's going to take maybe 3 or 4 hours. Try to have that plan ahead. I know these are things Andrew touched base on. I just really think it's very important to go over again. Always again, give yourself flexibility. I said this earlier as well. Repeat a couple of things which I know are very important, and even as adults, you will come to have to deal with. Again, bad weather, family issues, transportation problems. Because if you have an assignment that is due, and heaven forbid the internet goes out, and then you wait to the last minute, how are you going to respond there? I mean, is your instructor or is your boss going to care when you knew you had 2 or 3 months ahead of time to take care of it? So give yourself flexibility there. And once again, try to watch what you eat. Try to, try to be a little exercise. Again, I don't care what color you are, black, white, gay, or straight. We all have these moments in life. We all like to relax and not do anything, and that is important. But I'm such a believer in, as Andrew mentioned, just again, you don't have to run, 10-minute mile. Just try to do a little something. One that gives you energy, and then also gives you time to think as well. And so those are some things that I greatly appreciate. I'm definitely working to get in better shape again, because I've kind of had some ups and downs, but you know what? But that's the thing. We can always do something, as I said earlier. So to conclude, basically, I really appreciate this time with you today, and I wish you nothing but the best in your future. And I look forward to hopefully meeting a lot of you in person soon, and working with you here as your the next 2 to 4 to 6 years of your careers as well. But again, to conclude, again, our company's called we're not for profit, rather, excuse me, is Lao Social Industry. And as I mentioned, job place for unemployed. And obviously, pre-COVID and post-COVID, there's definitely a lot of challenges of people transitioning new careers, or people just realizing, hey, I need something that pays a better wage. And that's something I think we should all strive for, because again, the work you put out matters, and you should be, I feel, paid accordingly. And unfortunately, sometimes depending on areas we're from, wages don't keep up with inflation or keep up with the cost of goods. I mean, even for you who are young now, think about, when you were even like 10 years old, with some candy, your favorite candy bar costs, maybe what it costs now. So all that being said, we're really lucky that we are working with a new social media site called CubeMates. And through CubeMates, they're going to have basically, I call it a podcast meets chat room area, to where, for example, if someone wanted further information from Mr. Andrew about, hey, how do I type my resume? What is some ideas from you for time management? We can have more in-depth conversations. So you would have to join that. And just real quick, that website is called CubeMates, but it's Cube spelled with a Q. So it's QUBEMATES.com. It's a new social site that's just getting launched, and we got to develop a partnership with them to where we can have our Lao chat room / podcast stuff there, but you have to be a member of CubeMates. Also, we have an interview coming out, a new online magazine that's launching beginning of August, called Absorb. We'll be talking a little further about what our goals are and what we're doing across the board in our communities at large. And please go to our website. It is it's LAUSI.org. si.org for Laos Social Industry. Again, laosocialindustry.org. And please like us on our Facebook. That is, we can be found as Laos Social Industry INC. We have a really awesome assistant who works with us right now, who puts different quotes out every Monday, but every Wednesday puts out different current events that we feel affect our community. Sometimes it may be about COVID, maybe about new Biden's rescue plans, maybe about different job opportunities in different regions. So please check us out there. Lastly, I'm sorry, we're almost done. Also on our Twitter account is LAUSI, I'm sorry, capital L AU, capital O RG. At us at Twitter, so Lao org at Twitter. And so again, if you have any questions, you can also reach us at contact, CONTACT at lausi.org, or you can email me directly as well, and that's KIAMBO at lausi.org. So I definitely, hopefully we can meet everybody. I know once COVID gets a little bit better, we'll be meeting in person next time we do this assignment. If not, we're definitely hoping to work with K-State on some other events coming in the future. So definitely want to thank you for your time and your consideration, and look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so very much for that. During the lunch hour, I was a little bit worried about how I was going to close this thing out and how broad of a conversation I was going to try to make, but you guys really, really took care of that, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. I don't see any building in the chat at all. You guys have pretty much covered everything, and if you have any, any final goodbyes, feel free to share those. But just thank you so very much for spending the time with us today.
Sure. Mr. Allen, anything for you, sir?
No, it was just a great being here. This opportunity, like I said, when young people are starting that adventure, that just gives me the energy, and just being able to, inspire people is the main thing. I mean, Kemp and I both, we grew up together, and just, having those long-lasting relationships are important. You're going to meet people. I'm still connected to a couple of people I went to college with. High school, but college, you form a little bit more tighter bond. And then also the people in your neighborhood too. So get out there, get engaged, and study hard.
All right. And for me, I definitely did everything Mr. Allen just said. I just want to say thank you also, because we had a few friends joining today. Miss Brianna, Pam, Laura, and Miss Letitia. I appreciate y'all joining us in today on this. There's also folks we're working with on some different in some different areas. But again, long and short of it is, you definitely have opportunity. And right now, if you're in this current program, utilize it to your benefit. And again, you will adjust and you will adapt. But as you go through this, you'll look back on this time, years from now, and say this was definitely a blessed opportunity. And if it's anything we can ever do to support you, whether it's a kind, dear conversation, please let us know. Or obviously reach out to the support staff you have there at the school, especially Jeremy's an awesome gentleman I've got to know well for the last couple of years. So I just want to say thank you very much. Look forward to hopefully seeing you soon. Somebody raised their hand, looks like, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Coles, feel free, sir. He's at Thelma's Garden Academy, and he has a room full of folks there, and they tend to be pretty talkative when the time is just right. So Mr. Coles, feel free, sir.
Hi, I'm Julie Ann from Thelma's Garden in Lexington. And my question is, who do you think helped you the most while you were in college? Well, it's like,
Mr. Drew, you want to go first, sir?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, a lot of it, like day one, my mom, she was just like, I didn't have an option to go to school. My kids didn't have an option, so they either had to work or go to school. And I, as a parent now, looking back, I always hear these kids, oh, by 18, I was out the house. Yeah, technically, yeah, I was out of the house too, but I had a choice. So I'd say my mom, she was the main driver. And then after you sort of leave that nest, you have to become your own driver. Now, they always say, oh yeah, find a mentor and everything, but not everyone's a good mentor. You have to sort of seek people out yourself. I mean, some people are in the oddest positions can say two things to you that motivate you. So my main thing is engage everybody. Don't disregard people. But when you look at the mirror, you know, you gotta sort of push yourself. That's your only cheerleader. Great question. Anybody else?
Can I answer, Andrew?
What do you say?
Like I said, can I answer? That's fine.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, anyway, no, but again, basically the same thing Andrew states. Definitely my mother again, because I think also for a lot of us, and let's be blunt. I'm just being like say this. Again, we all family. Again, I don't care where you're from. I don't care how much money you got in the bank, initials in your name. And unfortunately, a lot of folks, especially nowadays, adults try to keep us separated, which is not a good thing. But for me, I had friends, I got brothers who I walk through fire for, who do not look like me. They're white, brown, whatever, who I love to death. And I don't say that lightly. And I've been lucky, right? A few friends that say, call me out. What the heck's wrong with you? You know you're better than this. I even had people I barely didn't know who saw something in me. So for me, it's been a lot of people who, friends and family, obviously, but sometimes those friends who want better for you. And actually, I recently talked to this gentleman who wrote an article, and he's your age. He's 24. He's trying to be a real estate agent. He said, well, you are like basically the 4 or 5 people you always have yourself around. What that means is it doesn't mean because you're from the hood or from the rural part that you can't appreciate where you come from, but you also have to make sure you surround yourself as much as possible with folks who, again, not saying you're better at, but that you want to that wants to motivate you and vice versa, wants to support you, even if it doesn't benefit them. And that is one of the things I think a lot of us lose sight on, is it's not always just about you. It's like about a bigger cause. So anyway, that's my answer to it. So, thank you, Mr. Thank you. That was a really good question, as Mr. Drew said. And we got some more out there. Come on, somebody there.
Hey, don't be shy. This is what I'm talking about. When people are here, wait for it. This is an opportunity. I mean, anytime you go to a presentation, you always want to take away 3 things and to ask a question just to be relevant, because you never know how you're going to run into these people again. So
while they're debating whether they have another question or not, if I could just ask real briefly about where you see the opportunities for the college age students who are about to get the degrees. Where can they be looking, planning ahead, trying to get a jump on where we're headed in the short term?
So on my standpoint, logistics, the sciences, especially now with everything, the business, now I say lightly about the entrepreneur because anybody thinks you have an idea and then you're set. It doesn't work like that. I mean, it's just like, going to school, you have to build the asset, but the top 3, I'd say logistics, computer science is always there, life science, and social media. You can't disregard social media. Being able to storytell on social media. I mean, if you look at these social media YouTubers and everything, now the question's coming back, hey, you send me some stuff and I'll make videos. Well, to me, that says the creativity is sort of not out there, but it is out there. Getting good at storytelling is one of good, being a presenter, and sales is always going to be up there.
Yep, I agree. And for me, again, did everything Mr. Drew said. And for me, for the work I've done as a union rep with the not-for-profit sector, I mean, again, there's so much money out there in a sense of even the programs you guys are doing, especially once you have that degree from K-State saying you're in BA and engineer, whatever those, or masters, those things are going to get you a lot further. But I'm telling you, whether it's building trades, for example, and that's something, again, I don't know who's on the other end. Again, I'm being direct with you. Building trades needs more women, for example, more people of color. I mean, I can tell you, I've had members who make $35 an hour, who are like just a couple years older than you, all the way to folks who are making, I'm not exaggerating, there's this thing called an elevator mechanic. They make, I'm going to start off with their apprenticeships, just apprenticeships, they make over $80 an hour. And unfortunately, with some of those trades, it's catch-22. You pass it on to your nephews and your friends, and that's a great thing to do. You want to look out for your family. but sometimes that keeps a lot of women and people of color out. Yeah, even some low income white. But I say the building trades, again, water, we also touch base on water treatments. I think different urban planners is something that's important as well. There's coming about, because again, our climate and culture is changing. I mean, unfortunately, look at what happened last week in, in southern Florida, so it's a lot of things out there. And again, can be different points of political view. I personally think there is some global warming or some different trends coming about, in my opinion. But I think those careers are something that's definitely going forward. But also, let's not forget those great teachers that really, because again, Andrew knows, I mean, it's funny, we have a teacher, her name is Miss Street. She's my first grade teacher. She has to be now 80, early 80s. Last time I saw her was a year or so ago at a barbershop, and I still stood up straight as soon as she said something to me. And again, she's an older one, because again, she instilled some, again, times a little bit different then, you can get spanked a little more. But it wasn't just about that part, it's like what she meant to me, because she was so kind, but she made sure, even as little first and second graders, that she called us out on things, say, hey, this is how you're supposed to act as a young man or young lady. So, let's not forget about the teaching education or the medical fields as well, which I think are important too. But also a lot of great entrepreneurships out there for people who have some ideas too. And as Andrew touched on, so many people, which again, I get confused and like making all this money on social media. I know enough, like you kids know better than me. I just found out what, what's that word? I wrote it down to bring up, say less. I had no idea. I don't know who knows what that means. I had no idea what the hell it was. Excuse me, knew what that was until a few weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, and they was like, no, it's another way of saying I understand or I got you. I'm like, well, that sounds kind of rude, but those
Say less.
say less.
Thanks for the education.
What? You're right, so I'm like, what? But that's something that's positive. But my point with that is basically stating that you have opportunity to kind of create your own pathways with some social media components, but just never forget, it's nothing like looking someone in the eye and talking to them, answering the phone. I agree, text messaging is great and it helps you short term or back and forth. But you guys, I'm telling you, learn too to be able to talk to somebody face to face, because that is something I think is being lost as well. As I said earlier about how you present yourself and your attire, but say hi to somebody. But anyway, so those are a couple of ideas that I have. So I see Mr. Cole has his hand up again.
Hi, I'm Ariana Kennedy from Thelma's Garden in Lexington, Kentucky.
Hello,
and my question is, what part of STEM did you guys like the most?
Honestly, the question was, what part of STEM did we like the most?
Yep, yes, sir. That was a question. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So for me, like I said, when I started working for this the Village of Holly, I was going around to each department and just seeing the wastewater treatment. So pretty much my first couple of days there, well, it was Tuesday, and everybody knows what Tuesday is, right? Taco Tuesday, right? So you're able to see the corn being filtrated, and then it gets separated, the chemicals are added, and then there's a raw part left over. There's a biodigester. So to first answer your question, it'd be the water treatment. The second part that I'm leading into is the current opportunity, because it ties into everything. After they separated the water, they reclean the water, and then the hard matter gets turned into fertilizer and sent off to Mexico. So I thought that was very important. So then that also put in another opportunity in my head. Well, why is it getting shipped to Mexico? Why can't the hard solids be contained here and experimented on and see what use it is for? So then also too, with the wastewater or the water treatment, for me, just seeing it in the market, I mean, is now a tradable commodity. And 20 years ago, you would have second thoughts about buying water because you could just get out the tap water. But now it's going to become a commodity. Just look what's happening out west. So anything to do with water is going to be big. And I like water personally. I do triathlons and I swim in water, so it has to be clean water.
For me, I would say math was more so. Again, most of my careers with, like, say, hospitality and business. So it was more math in the sense of, hey, I always want to be an architect. So I was learning that components, like 1/8, 1/4 through 8, I still remember it. And, but more so how to, what are my percentages? But again, I have a brother who's an engineer. So I definitely, again, he explained some stuff to me, but I'm like, what? I get a little confused. But for me, I would say definitely math, but I also enjoy science, because again, I'm a little Star Trek dork here and Star Wars dork, but I also believe, what's this big, beautiful world in, but what's outside of it. So I would totally say science is important. I don't mind being made fun of. I like the TV show Ancient Aliens, one of my favorite shows. So I like to think about, how long it takes to get somewhere, or how can we breathe there? Really? If like it's a new commercial that says if it's an earthquake on Mars, is a Mars quake, that's stuff that you really don't, think, really? So anyway, so I would say those are probably my favorites, even though I really didn't go into those specifically, but I definitely like those.
Well, I think that's it. So virtual round of applause for sure. And for a final time, thank you both very much. It was a really great closing element. And man, I just couldn't hope for a better ending. And I just, thank you both and have a great day.
Thank you guys. You're welcome.
Thank you, but
You have a question?
Yes, Julie, ask
yes.
Yeah, feel free. It's all right.
Yeah.
But we're here for
We're
you.
still
So
here.
we're here for you.
Did you ever think that you wouldn't go to college, like that college wasn't for you at the time?
Can I answer that one first, Drew?
Yeah, hit it.
I mean, for me, yes. And it wasn't, the thing is, I love learning again, and I'm definitely a person, I believe in school. But again, I'm just gonna be real with y'all, young adults. I think I know better a lot of times, right? And I was really lucky that when I was younger, I had some really good jobs. Like I was in the mortgage industry when I was like 21, 22. I'm making 40,000, which again, a few years ago, which was great. So I always had something to fall back on. But it taught me later on that, but it's just something, again, even how tough it gets, I really enjoy meeting people, interacting, how y'all going to meet each other, and hopefully meeting you too. But that stuff is so awesome. I mean, that's stuff that you can't necessarily get past a certain time. So I definitely had times where I'm like, all right, well, not that I never didn't want to go or wasn't pushed to go. It was more so, I'm doing okay. And that's something I've been pleased. I should have brought this up earlier. Please, again, don't, again, things are going to happen to you. Things, you're going to have some challenges, but please try your best not to give up. If you're not getting that hug from somebody at home or appreciation, that's okay. You'll get it down the road, and I understand we definitely need support systems and people to give us that pat on the back. And that's something that we're definitely here to do. But you got to keep fighting because, right now you're 16, 17, 18, so you'll be 25, 35, in that time. I remember my mother taught me a long time ago. She said, oh, years start flying by, take care of your business. And I'm like, yeah, shut up, old lady, leave me alone. But she totally was right? Not being shut up rudely. My mother was smacking me. So, but just like, leave me alone. You know what you're talking about. But she was right. So definitely had times where I thought, I'll be okay. And I realized, oh, shoot, I need to make sure I got my butt covered. So, anyway, Andrew?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, I was focused on running track and I wanted to see how far I can go. So I had to go to college. I wasn't like Usain Bolt and can skip and get drafted and go straight to the pros. So, there's work involved. But today, like with my kids going, my son, he's at Saginaw Valley. He's doing day trading. He's doing okay with it. But I said, look, regardless, just get a bachelor's degree and then you'll have something. And then my other son is looking at becoming a chiropractor. So I would tell people going in, because the other thing today, what's being pushed is, I'll just be blunt, is, you go to college or become an entrepreneur. You start a business. Well, that's easy to say, but if you look at the cost breakdown, I mean, your first 5 years starting your own business, you're going to be in the red. So you'll be, in debt. And then what did you get? Yes, you have some experience, but then what kind of mentor and things do you have set up on that side versus being at school? Yes, there's a cost to it, but then look at the resources that you have. And quite frankly, you can sort of do both if you sort of think about it and plan it right. And that's why I keep throwing social media around, because That's what you can do. Everybody's on social media. How can you maximize that? That's going to benefit you. And especially now being an athlete, you can use your social media and then market your own self without getting in trouble with the NCAA. So that's like another new thing that wasn't around when I was, but now it's here today. So that's another avenue that you can look at. And whether, Kentucky State has a focus on that, we can still drive that with your STEM program. You can have videos to show why math is fun, why water is important. What do you do with water? You like to play in water. You have parties. Well, this is what this cycle, this is the water cycle. How do you tie that in? How do you make that fun? How do you make that awareness? How do you get laws changed? So, yeah, a lot. You can still do everything, go to college. College is important because at the end of the day, the business is going to say, hey, do you have a degree or not? So that's going to be your first separation. Now, versus you go to private industry, that's a little different, but they see that you went to college, so you have credentials coming in there. So being on the fence today about going to school, I would still, unless you have a direct line with a funding source for business, mentors, I would say business, but otherwise, it's just like in sports. How many professional people do you know? Or how many, millionaires, billionaires do you know? Well, if you don't have anybody in that circle, then you got to sort of create something to find those people. And then in college, you have a little bit more access, through mixing and mingling to do that. So yes, pro college, pro business second.
And then again, to piggyback on that real quick as well, and that's why I mentioned earlier about that QMates website we're working with. We can have some of these further conversations with your instructors, even without your instructors, some ideas that you may have amongst yourselves. So, but that's why you have to go to that qmates.com to kind of sign up there so we can have the chat rooms. Again, it's video and audio, but those are some, you may have some ideas where you guys, maybe 3 or 4, you have an idea you want to keep to your circle first and then present to Jeremy or someone or Mr. Coles there. So anyway, but always utilize your opportunities and resources. Again, I'm not the biggest social media person, but saying, hey, if I can help these young ladies or these gentlemen and say, let's have a chat, Mr. Drew will get on with us, how can I tweak my resume? Here's some examples. I mean, so many things you can do with social, but that's something we want to help you with as well if you need help, or or Jeremy can help you too. But that's a great idea. As like he's stating, is like yes, you can all be famous. We want to be successful, but again, who are you around that in that same position? If not, how do you get there? So anyway. Bueller.
All right, last call for questions.
Somebody else raise their hand again, sir.
Hi, my name is Lil Varigama from Beaumont Middle School, and I just wanted to ask what things did you do to manage your time in college?
So one of the first things, because honestly, it's sort of, hey, let me do this. Look at what you're doing now around your influence as far as your family. Now think about, the times you went on vacations or you were by yourself. And then when that first day at college, you're by yourself. So what do? You're going to fall back on what you've been trained to do, right? So hopefully there are positive things. You're going to be experiencing a lot of things on campus, but you have to figure out your goal. So, hey, when are my classes? 3 days a week, 4 days a week? Are they morning or PM? I have to make my classes no matter what. Everything that comes in the middle, that's like secondary needs, or secondary wants. Your needs are going to class, make sure you're in class on time, whether you're working on school, you're working on campus. So those are the main things that cannot change in your schedule. Then the other component, that physical and mental time, you have to integrate that too. So for instance, I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning, had the coffee, cleaned the house or whatever. The kids are still sleeping, spend some time to myself, go out in the garage, get a workout in, got prepped for the morning as far as getting things I needed for this 1 o'clock call. I was on the call around 10 o'clock, still doing things around the house. So multitasking is important. And then the rest of my day is going to be open. So I got my major stuff out of the day, done, complete, and then the rest of the day is open. So now I'm looking at my rest of the schedule through the week. What can I get done today that'll give me free up time later on in the week. So if I need to do cleaning, yard work, I'm gonna try to bang that out today. So then tomorrow it'll free me up. So as far as you as a student, getting your classes down, knowing your professors, getting that new schedule in, and then, okay, well, maybe I can, we'll go out and meet this group, this drama club or the music club, whatever, or maybe even start thinking about, hey, all these people are in my same situation. Why don't I start a chat room or see where the chat room is on campus? And then I'm in, water management 205, and then start talking. So then you create your community, and then you start figuring out, hey, I didn't know I can bring people together. I'm a leader. So through your self-management, time management organization, you can teach that to other people. Did I sort of get off the rails on that a little bit?
No, I'm sorry. Well, for me, I think time management wise, I'm a morning person, so I enjoy like get my stuff done in the morning, and or even the same time trying to get. If I got 2 or 3 classes, let's try to do that. That Monday, Wednesday schedule where it leaves you those other days, whether you're working or for your studies as well, right? Or if you're a night person, okay, try to take that afternoon class after 12. Whatever those things are to give you more comfort. And just try to look at it that way. What can I get done? As Drew was saying. All right, got this amount of stuff on my day, and if I take care of everything I'm supposed to, you realize you have a lot more time than you realize. Not just for school and everything, but also to give your time to decompress. As he said, make sure he worked out. So I think that's something that's great, and that also helped me as I got older. Again, I used to wait tables and bartend from dive bars to fine dining. Me personally, I'd rather do a double shift on a Tuesday or Thursday, maybe one night, and get everything out the way. And then that way, it still leaves me other time to kind of do things I want to do, whether it's my weekend or other days of the week. So,
great question.
All right, I figured I would give it a minute. All right, it does look like that really is it. So, thank you both, and that's it.
All right, Jared, take care, man.
Good meeting you. Thank you. Hope to hear from you, everybody. Take care, everybody. Have a good week or weekend.
All right, everybody. That does bring us to the end of the regularly scheduled online portion of the program. The last 2 things, this evening you'll receive a link that'll go to an evaluation, and it'll ask your opinion and attitudes about the material that you've been offered, and maybe a few things about organization and whether you like the presenters and those kinds of things. That helps us change the program for moving forward. And then really most importantly, if you're not communicating with me about a project, I'm currently not planning anything for you. So I have 4 that we're communicating and going to work something out and figure out how we do this. So again, it's not a requirement, but I want to challenge you, especially in light of what we've heard, over the last couple of days. I would challenge you to pick up a project, get some experience, and try something on and see if you're good at it, because you don't know what you're interested in or what you're really gifted at until you have that experience. So be looking for the communication from that, and if no one has any final questions or comments, we'll adjourn. All right.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks a
ladies. Thank
lot.
you, gentlemen.